Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd. So inshallah, this is I think our third lesson, is it? And we're still fourth. Subhanallah, isn't time flying? Wallah, by the time. So yes, it's our fourth lesson, alhamdulillah. And we're really making some really good progress. Like I said, interaction is great, interruption is great, hands up, whatever, however you want to do it, clarification is good. So this is meant to be a very dynamic discourse between us all. We're nearly getting through the theory. We are about 50% through the theory. There's another 50% before we hit the text. So there is a finish line there where we start using text. So basically what we did in the first lesson was just do the Arabic map and how was the Arabic language constructed. Then after that we looked into what sort of words, types of words there are, like with the isms, the fi'l and the harfs. We understood the concept of those. And then last week we touched upon the ism and we talked about how it has grammatical states. And I'll repeat that again, grammatical states. This is a really, as I said at that time, it is a fundamental point that needs to be ingrained in one's mind. I have been studying Arabic for at least 10 years, if not 15 years, and still haven't understood this point on grammatical states. And the reason being is that a lot of the courses don't give you those really important fundamental principles which you can then apply to the text. Okay, so we're just going to go into a little bit of detail for the revision so that we're all up to a speed. And to this week's lesson, we're actually going to talk about verbs. So this is the new topic of the day, verbs. Okay, and we'll be doing past tense verbs this lesson. And the following week, we'll do the future tense verbs. And then in the fourth, fifth, sixth, and then the seventh week, what we'll introduce you is to two things: the phrases, because we haven't touched phrases yet. You've touched words. We've touched upon verbal sentences, but we haven't really touched upon phrases at all. And then we'll talk about the jumla or ismiya, so the nominative sentences. Okay. After that point, we then hit the text. You'll have a basic core grounding where you'll start to see the text come alive because you'll have that grammatical structure in your head. And then we'll start to introduce different concepts. But these next few lessons are really, really fundamental. We're going to have to do some really dry work when it comes to learning about verbs. This is a skeleton structure you have to just know. Because once you've got that skeleton structure on how verbs are constructed, then we will be able to apply flesh to it. Okay. But the problem where people get unstuck is that once we get to the flesh bit, but you haven't grasped the skeleton, the whole thing flops. This is the point where people then just give up. They just can't take it. It's just too much. But if you've got the skeleton there, you can work on the flesh. It's okay. So the skeleton has to be really good. And we've got an interesting technique to help us with the skeleton, and we'll be applying that technique today. Okay. So that's the theme for today. But let's just go back spend 5-10 minutes just going back into the first three lessons very quickly. So we understood about the Arabic language map, and it starts with the lafz, which is the utterance. Yeah. And then we talked about the mawdu', which is the important, the relevant, the actual ones that have sense words, as opposed to the muhmal. Okay. And the mawdu', we know, is divided into three areas. The kalima, which are words, the murakkab, ghayrul mufid, which are the phrases, which are not full sentences, which is the jumla, the sentence, or the murakkab mufid, which means beneficial, combination of words. Murakkab meaning combination of words. Okay? And so we then went into the kalima, and we understood that the kalima, there are three types of words. That they are isms, which are a number of things, not just nouns, but they are also pronouns, adjectives, and adverbs. And we understood that nouns were basically entities describing a person,
or anything,
a thing, or a place. Okay, and the pronoun was basically
replacing that.
replacing it, and it's like he, it, they, them. Okay, and then the adjective was basically doing what?
Defines the noun.
Describes the noun. Yeah, describes the ism, the noun. But the adjective is an ism. That's the thing that you've got to also remember. These are also isms. And this is another point where people get unstuck. They think, oh, it's an adjective, it must be different from a noun. They're both isms. And therefore, and when you do the grammatical structure, you treat them as isms. Okay? Right? It's just the difference is in the meaning. Okay? So green is not, it cannot, its meaning cannot be noun. It has to mean, green is a description, it's a colour. It cannot be, colour is a noun, but green is an adjective. It cannot be anything other. So a lot of it you can just suss out from the text whether it's a noun or an adjective because of its just intrinsic meaning. Okay, so that was the adjective, and then the adverb was basically what was it?
The adjective.
So it's modifying or defining or describing the adjective
Noun.
or the noun. Correct. So we touched on that. Then we understood that there were for the phrases, that there were basically how many types of phrase can I remember in the Arabic language?
I don't know.
15. 15 phrases. And you'll understand why it's important to know those 15 phrases. And I'll come to that when we talk about the sentences. Okay? And then you understood that for the jumla, how many types of jumlas are there? Two. Okay, so there's Ismiya and the Fi'liya, the nominative and the verbal sentences. And we've touched on verbal sentences, as I said, and we'll cover a bit more later on. Okay, so we did that. And then we talked about the ism, okay, in more detail. One of the things that we talked about is how does the ism, the word, is constructed. And we talked about the jamid, yeah, so meaning it's something that's frozen, stuck, so it's a name, so like shajara, tree, yeah. Then we talked about the masdar and the mushtaq, yeah. Masdar meaning that it's the source of a verb like akal. From akal, to eat, is akala, he eats, okay. Or katab, to kataba or maktub, which are the mushtaq, the derivations. But I don't want you to get too much into trying to work it, but just to understand that that's how the words are created. And we'll go into more detail and explanation with examples later on, okay. And then we talked about the harfs, didn't we? Okay. And we understood that al-harf in itself does not have any intrinsic meaning, but its meaning is when it's in combination with other words like other isms or other fields. So in the garden or walking in the street. Yeah, it's a combination of things, yeah. And we understood with the harf that if we wanted to categorize them, we categorize them into how many? Two, which are the amil and the ghayr amil. And what does that basically mean? Is that the amil is what we call the governing agent, which basically means, what does it do?
Changes the word that follows it.
It changes the word that follows it. Okay, and the ghayr amil doesn't change the word that follows it. And that led us on to back to ism and grammatical states. Okay, and we understood that an ism basically has how many grammatical states? Three. Can anyone remember what they were?
And nasab and
Jar. Excellent. And can anyone remember how many ways the rafa can be used? How many states are in rafa, or how many examples there can be? 8. MashaAllah. Well done. Yes, 8. How many in nasab? 12. Correct. And the Masha, this is written in the notes. It's good.
I know where it is.
That's right. And then the easy one with Joe, how many times? Two. And remember, we did 50% already with Joe, didn't we? Because one of the harfs that we use as an example, which is an amil, was the prepositions. Yeah. which was, and can anyone remember what prepositions were? Examples were
Fi.
fi for in,
Yeah. Allah.
so fi sabilillah,
Allah.
ala, upon,
Man. Man.
min,
Min.
min.
From.
So a'udhu billahi minash shaitan, so from, yeah, and then
Two more. Li.
li, lakum dinukum waliyadin,
And then B. What? Bismillah.
and bismillah. Bismillah. And there's a few more, but they're a handful. There's not like hundreds. There's a handful. And so we use, and that what do they do to the grammatical state of the ism that follows it?
Changes it.
To
Ja.
jar. Okay. And so we understood that the isms have grammatical state, and how are they in most cases expressed? Okay. So the rafa is in most cases reflected by what? What do I mean by reflected? By the dhamma, which is the end. Yeah. So just to refresh our minds visually, so if we use the word bayt, which means house. So in rafa it would be baytul. So it's the end vowel, isn't it? Yeah. And then in nasr,
It's Baita.
yeah. And in jar,
It's Baiti.
yes. Okay. And so the other thing that we also understood is that the grammatical states and the voweling are very important, because the vowels not only help us to actually articulate the words, right, but they also actually confer a meaning, a significance to it. Okay? And we understood that, and we gave the example with daraba Zaydun Amran, remember? So we knew that Zayd was the one who was hitting Amr because he was Zaydun, not Zaydan. And we knew that Amran was the one who was being hit too. He was the object that was being hit because he's Amran, he was in Nasr. So you could see that not only does it help us to articulate it, but it also helps us to know who was doing what. Yeah? And this is really, really important, as we understood. Okay? So, that's isms for grammatical states, and that's what we got to last time. Now, we're going into verbal conjugations. Sounds horrible, doesn't it? It is very dry, but it's the skeleton to the Arabic language when it comes to verbs. And so this is what we're going to tackle today. And just for definition purposes, a fi'l, which is the verb, is defined as what, basically? How do we know what a fi'l is?
Has to have tense.
Has to have tense
And
plus the meaning, inherent meaning must be an action. Okay? Alright. So the tense also, and the tense we mean by, what do we mean by tense?
Mudari.
Yeah, so mudari or madi. So mudari would be present or future. Madi would be past. And the last one? Amr. Yes. Which is the command verb. Yeah? So,
Is the
stop.
intelligent.
Or read. Yeah, these are Amr. Okay. Alright, good. Alhamdulillah. So, now, what we need to understand is, and let me just try to explain. So, and we'll use it with English, okay? So, if we're going to, use verbs in English, we can say like, he hit, they hit, she hit, right? And what you notice is that the hit word, which is the verb, is the same in each of these situations. In Arabic, it is not. And this is what we mean by conjugation. The one one verb in Arabic will reflect both those meanings in its simplistic sense. It doesn't need two words, it's just one word will be able to exemplify. And remember we gave that example in the very first lesson, istansuru, remember that? And we saw there were about 3 to 4 words that describe it's a he or they sought help. Yeah? Okay? So this is the similar concept here, and this is the, now I'm taking the very basic skeleton, all right? So what it basically means, he, they, and she are what? What are they separately? What are those words? Pronouns. So they are isms, aren't they? Okay. These pronouns combined with verbs, which basically so pronoun plus the verb is the process of conjugation. That's why they use this big fancy word conjugate. It's to combine two words together to make one word, and that's why they call verbal or verb conjugations. Okay. Now, there are basically 14 conjugations. We've just seen 3 out of the 14. There are 14. And these 14 you have to know inside out. Yeah, it's almost like if Ali's fast asleep and I go out at midnight and I just shake him and say, tell me the verbal conjugate, he'll wake up and he'll just be able to tell me straight. This is what you need to get it to that level. These 14, because it's going to help you when it comes to the flesh. Critical, 14, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how these 14 come about. What are these 14? All right? And you don't need to learn this, but you need to understand it, okay? How these 14 come about. And what I'll do, I'll send you a PDF of all of this. So what I'm writing down now is going to be on PDF. And I'll send it either tonight or tomorrow. So it's just the purpose of learning it, and it'll be all nice printed, nice text. All this, what we're doing today, inshallah. Okay, so the conjugation depends on the person. It depends on the gender and the plurality. Okay. There are 3 things that are to make one word, one verbal word. 3 aspects are put together. Plurality, which basically, yeah. So in plurality, either it's singular or it's plural. But in Arabic, they have the dual. Right? Okay. Don't panic. Okay. There's the dual. Okay. We're going to go through it really slowly. Okay. Alright. The person is either it's going to be third person, I'll define what these are, second person, or the first. The third person is like he or they or them. The second person is you all. The first person is me, I, or we. Alright? That's how it's defined in grammatical terms. They, them, you, I, we. Right, third, second, and first. Okay, right. So that third person will then split into the male and the female. Now, interestingly enough, like I showed you, in the English, he hit, she hit. Hit is the same word, but it will be different in Arabic. There will be one for he hit, one word, and one word for she hit. So fa'ala, for example, would be he hit, and fa'alat will be she hit. Okay? So that then defines. Okay? Then it's going to further define the male into the singular, the dual, and the plural. The female will also do the same. The singular, the dual, and the plural. Right? So there you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've already got 6 conjugations there, just on this third person. Yeah? You see? So you already got 6 straight off. Okay? Second person, again, splits into the male you and the female you. Again, in English, you just say you. It could be male or female, you know. But in Arabic, it's more defined. You are the male or you are the female. So there's different words for both. So that's the richness coming through in the Arabic, yeah? You, male, female. Again, split it. Singular, dual, and plural. Singular, dual, and plural. Okay? So there you've got a potential, and I'll explain what I mean by potential in a minute, of another 6. That in fact is actually 4, and I'll tell you why it's 4. Okay? But potentially you've got another 6 variables. Okay? Right? 3, 6, 9, 12. And then here you've actually got the again male and female. Okay? And then potentially you've got well, it's going to be either singular or plural. Okay? Singular or plural. So, but in the I and we, so even though you've got a potential of 4, it's actually 2. Right? Because in Arabic, that's the only time where it's common. So when we say I in Arabic, ana, it's same for male and female. Right? When we say we in Arabic, it could be either male or female. Right? So it's not the case in every single persons that we get. So yes, third person, absolutely broken down into the 6. Okay? The second person, broken down. In the first person, it's only broken down into 2. There's no differentiation in the male and female.
So that become 12, right? So
Sorry?
So that is 12, 6 plus 4 plus 2.
So it should. So actually, but what we'll do is that we'll include the 6. I'll explain why I mean by that, because they're actually the same. So there is a dual, but the dual is exactly the same for male and female. But we'll count it in the conjugation. So you've got 12. So yes. Sorry. Let me just get this right. So 6. Yeah, that goes to 4. Sorry, you're right. 6, 10. So there are 14 in total. 6 plus 4. Let me get this right. Sorry, beg your pardon. 6 plus 12 plus 2 make 14. Out of a potential 16. Alright? Now, it could have been, yeah? So does that kind of make sense? You don't have to hang on too much. What I'm going to do, this, I'm going to put into a really easy format. And I hope it's going to work. This is from Abdul Aziz's program. This is what I'm going to put his bit in here, because he does a really fantastic way of trying to get this, because looking at it you're like, whoa, it's heavy. But I wanted to show it to you just to show you how it's broken down and why and what are brought into the concept. So it's the person, either third, second or first, combined with the gender, male or female, combined with plurality, singular, plural and dual. Alright? So the way that Abdul Aziz does it, and I'll just give you a brief demonstration, and I've done this before with you, is that he uses hand signals. Right? And what he does, let's first use the pronouns. Okay? So what he does, he says the third person is over there. The third, he, they, them. When it's you, you're more like directly at that person you I'm talking to. So that's more like in front of you. So that's your visual. And when it's pointing towards yourself, then it's I or we. So they, them over there, you over here, and us, I, we, here. So these are the 3 angles. So what he says, the way to get these conjugations, he'll say, well look, point one finger over there. So that will be third person, male, right, female, left, male, singular, huwa, he. Okay? Let's leave out the dual, okay? And we'll use one finger, he. Right? Huwa, he. Then all fingers, hum, they, meaning plurality, so lots of fingers, plurality. Dual will be 2, yeah? So one finger, huwa, he, hum, they. Singular, one finger, pointing this way, anta, you. Antum, you all. Ana, I. Nahnu, we. Okay? So, and then on the left it will be exactly the female version of this, but we won't do that quite yet because I just want you to get the right hands going. Alright? So, if we can just get this one going a bit, so we'll just do the singular and the plural, okay, and we'll practice that. Once we've practiced it, we'll introduce the dual for that side, and then we'll go on to the left side for the female. And so, if I were to count the conjugations for you, right, so so I'm going to count all of them actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Because that one is the same, isn't it? So there's your 14 conjugations. All that in hand signals. Okay, so the hand signals is going to make it really easy for you to grasp this. What I want us to get to a state is where we can break it down like that, because we've mastered it. This is mastery, when you can actually work it out, break it down like this. But this is the avenue to get you to actually learn it. So there you saw your 14 on the hand signals. So let's practice the right side. So what we're going to basically learn is the 6 conjugations. Okay. So let's just repeat it together and practice this for the pronouns. Okay. So if we can just repeat with me, okay, and do the hand signals. Okay. So Bismillah. So huwa, he.
Huwa, he.
Then hum, they. Anta, you. Antum, you all. Ana, I. Nahnu, we. Okay.
So we're missing the second part.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that later. I don't want to. I want to do it bit by bit. Then I'll introduce the dual. I just get these simple ones first in, and then we'll build on it. But that will be at least a start for. So let's repeat it again. Huwa, he. Hum, they. Anta, you. Antum, you all. Ana, I. Nahnu, we. Okay? So I want you to just think about that a little bit and just practice it in your head, or even just do the hand signals yourself. And then
Anta, antum, ana, nahnu.
now this I will send to you as PDF, just so you can see what it is.
Ana.
Ana, nahnu.
Ana ini dia punya ana.
Yeah.
Okay, so huwa, he, hum, they, anta, you, antum, you all, ana, I, nahnu, we. But this will come as PDF, okay? But just so you can at least see what the letters look like, okay? So let's do it again.
It's alright.
Okay. Anyone want to practice? Yes. Huwa. So huwa, he, hum,
they, anta, you, antum, you all, you, they, ana, me, I, and then nahnu, we.
Mumtaz. Excellent. Very good. Ali, you have a go. Bismillah.
Who,
Huwa.
huwa,
So huwa, he.
huwa, he, whom, they, anta, you, antum, you all, ana, I, nahnu, we.
Very good. Okay. So let's do it all together again. So huwa, he, hum, they, anta, you, antum, you all, ana, I, nahnu, we. Okay. All right. So we've got that. So that is the pronoun. So do you want to let us try now with the verb? Okay. So with the verb, all right. So that was the pronoun separate. Now we're going to put in the verb for that. Okay. Let's have a go at that. Okay. So I'll do it first, and then we'll do it all together. So it would be fa'ala, he did. Fa'alu, they did. Fa'alta, you did. Fa'altum, you all did. Fa'altu, I did. فعلنا, we did.
No, فعلنا, I did, and فعلتم.
No, فعلت, I did. فعلنا, we did. Okay?
I know you're confusing.
So,
Was it? Was it?
so brother, it's not
because
like
Allah
this.
is I, so he's saying why not?
No, yeah, this is a, yeah, it's not a combination, maybe this is a very good point. It's not a combination of the Arabic ana with fa'ala to make fa'alna. No, they're completely different words. Okay, right? So like fa'alu, it is they did. It is, all right. So let us actually do that. So huwa would be like this. Fa'ala. Hum for they will be fa'alu. Fa'alu. Okay, and then for anta is be fa'alta. And for you all, or they did, you all did. Fa'altum. And for ana, it is fa'altu. And then for nahnu, we, it is fa'alna. Okay? Now, it's going to be hard the first time around, but I promise you, with the hand signals we do, this is something that we have to get ingrained in our heads, this skeleton of the 14 conjugates.
Fa'alta and?
فعلنا.
Sorry, fa'altu, for I did.
The other one we hear.
Fa'alta, for you did. Fa'altum, you all did.
Fa'altum.
Yes, fa'altum. And that's a
What was-
dhamma, fa'altu.
So is there any rule like if this word and how do you
No rule.
change it to?
This is jamid, consider. This is how it is. There's no ruling to this. Jamid means this is how they turned it. The Arab said, for he did it's fa'ala, for I did it's fa'altu. That's how it was coined.
No, but if we bring another verb, right? So how do you?
Okay, we'll do that. So let us do jalasa. So jalasa means jalasa, he sat. Jalasu, they sat. Jalasta, you sat. Jalastum, you all sat. Jalastu, I sat. Jalasna, we sat.
So,
Okay, alright.
there's
Makes
something
sense.
at the end which comes in.
This is the skeleton, remember. This is the skeleton, yeah? So this is the end bits, which you could say is basically the fa'ala, the wu at the end for fa'alu, the ta, tum, the tu for altu, and the na will come repeatedly in different verbs. This is what you're learning. You're learning the skeleton here. So yes, you're right, is that these will come back again in different verbs.
So if that rule applies to every single word?
Yes. I would say, we're always in Arabic, I'm going to use the 20-80 rule.
Okay.
20% of the Arabic that you need to know applies to 80% of the cases, right? So this is 20-80. There's always a 20% which are the other fringe issues. Okay. So you're almost talking about, it's not the muscles, it's the fingertips, the skin, which you'll get familiarized with because you'll have the bones, you'll have the flesh, and the skin bits are the easy bit. Okay? So it's the 20-80 rule. 20% of Arabic that you need to learn applies to 80% of the whole language. And this, I would say, is exactly the same. Okay? So it's a 20-80 rule. So for our purposes, we'll call it 100% because we're beginners.
Okay.
To make things life easy for us. It's 100%. Yes, this is the rule. Okay? Okay?
Is it فعلتم?
Fa'altum, for you all did. Yeah. So you're right, Afik, that antum is similar to that in the ending, and with anta fa'alta, but it's very different for huwa fa'ala, and for hum fa'alu, and for ana fa'altu, and obviously nahnu fa'alna. It's very different.
Is there dhamma on the second one? فعلوا?
For the second, yes, it's a dhamma. Fa'alu. And
So
interestingly,
we don't have to say ana fa'altu.
okay, right. So now
Because in English we say he
MashaAllah, you're already going to balagha. MashaAllah. Because that's a method of expression. So, for example, if you want to say ana fa'altu, what you're basically saying in English is saying, I definitely did. As was I did. So the ana provides extra stress. The I did. So ana fa'altu is workable. Yes, you're right. It's a method of expression. Is to accentuate the point that it's I did. Okay. So yes, you're right. That's balagha though. And you will see that, inshallah, once we go in the Quran, where Allah does introduce that, and that's where you find where subhan. And this is what I mean by that's when you start to appreciate it, because in the tarjuma, the translation, it will just say, I did such and such. But if you saw the pronoun, then you know that Allah is stressing something here. He's saying, ana, or whatever it might be in the context. Then that's balagha. Alright? Okay? But it works grammatically. Okay? So Bismillah. Let's try this. So let us do the verb now. Okay, all right. So repeat after me. So fa'ala, he did. Fa'alu, they did. Fa'alta, you did. Fa'altum, you all did. Fa'altu, I did. Fa'alna, we did. Let's go back to the pronoun. Huwa, he. Hum, they. Anta, you. Antum, you all. Ana, I. Nahnu, we. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the beginnings, and so let's just remember. So we're talking about verbal conjugations. Okay, the meaning being is that in English, hit is always the same. Do is all the same. But in Arabic, they combine the pronoun with the verb, and it gives it a specific word meaning. One word, doesn't need two words. Yeah. So the fa'ala is he did, 2 words. Fa'altu is I did. It's a conjugation of pronoun and verb, and that's how it comes out. And that is the pattern that is applied to all verbs for our purposes. Yeah, for all verbs. And this is the skeleton that we need to just get ingrained in our minds. We know it's based on the third, second, and first person, so the persons, the gender, the male and female, and then the plurality, the singular, the plural we did as well, and the dual as well, to get us up to the 14 conjugations, yeah, which will be all in those hand signals. The right for the male side, the left for the female side. The 1 finger for singular, 2 fingers for dual, and
3 for plural.
It's difficult with 3, but for 3 to 4 fingers for the plural. And we'll be able to work these through. And so by doing this method, what you're basically trying to do, you're memorizing by using different processes of the brain. So you're remembering the letters, you're using the action, and you're using the mouth. So you're more likely to be able to learn this easily rather than that table that I constructed for you. You know, it just looks too Muslim. But by using the actions, you can, he, it's third person, he or them or they. Then it's going to be you and you all, and it's us or I or we, yeah. And then you're already there with the hand signals. So you'll find yourself, if you want to say they sat, it's they. It's going to be, it's going to be 3 fingers. It's going to be a cross here, okay, and it's fa'ala for they, okay. And so once we get through these 16 conjugations, then we have to go to the present tense. And these are different words as well. And the way we would do that is that when we do like fa'ala, he did, we go up. Yaf'alu, he's doing. Alright, so this is how we're going to, so from past tense to present tense. And that is now the 45 degrees, okay? So you've got left and right, you've got 90 degrees, and you've got this 45 upwards.
360.
But you know what? But imagine you would become such an expert on it, and it would be so easy to do. It would be just like so you're basically, what we're trying to do is learn an alphabet here of the grammar when it comes to verbs. Yeah, and by doing these hand signals, you'll have all those constructs just on hand signals alone. You know, and once you're at that stage, then you can actually go to the table and just break it down easily because you've mastered it. Okay. Do you want me to leave it there, or do you want a bit more of the conjugations for the others?
I think it's
No, it's not for today.
Okay. So we'll end it there, inshallah, and we'll repeat this again. And I'd like you to, well, let's just do it one more time and let's finish it. So let's just do it one more to, and then we're finished. Okay.
Wow.
So starting with the pronouns first, and then we move on to the verbs. So all together, huwa, he, hum, they, anta, you, antum, you all, ana, I, nahnu, we. Now to the verb conjugation. Fa'ala, he did.
He did.
Fa'alu, they did. Fa'alta,
You did.
you did. Fa'altum, you all
all
did.
did.
Fa'altu, I did. Fa'alna, we did. Okay? So we'll end it there, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.